It's just 12:10 now. We'll give it a couple of more minutes,
President Henkin, is it okay if I just mention something?
please.
So to any of the students who are joining, I'm gonna put the sign-up sheet in the chat. So if you could just fill that out, please.
Yes, very important. How do we do that? I don't know. How do you send around a sign-up sheet? Usually when you come through the door, they sign in, so there's no door to a Zoom room. That's an interesting thing. They should have a door to a Zoom room, you know. When we enter, they should, you know, a graphic. I guess that's your job, Josie. You're the art director.
Next time.
Well, sell it to Zoom, you know, come up with a little add-on to their app. That's actually sort of interesting. You know, I bet you they could have little, but they're not going to open source their code, I guess. Well, those who are entering the Zoom room now, welcome. We're going to start in a couple of minutes. Want to let a few more people arrive. I'm sure there will be more. Hi, Brenna.
Hello.
Our past ad club president and member of a brand marketing team, working for the panelists, where our client, if you will, this year is Tinder. Okay.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Can't wait to see what your campaign in the end is going to be. I feel like that's such a, I don't know, progressive new technology and platform to be focusing on. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I see Dr. Chiguris has joined us. It's good. I'm going to give it another minute or two before we begin. We have an exciting, vibrant, all the adjectives we're using on the brand marketing team right now, panel here for everyone to listen to. And I just want to give an opportunity for more folks to arrive before we begin.
Hi, Larry.
Nicole, you want to repeat what you put in the chat?
Sure. For anybody who just joined, I'm gonna put the sign-up sheet in the chat.
Please give us your, what are we requesting?
First name, last name, major, and then expected graduation.
And your email address. Right?
Yes, email too.
And your email address. I'll have you announce that one more time in one more minute.
Of course.
Dr. Prylick has joined us.
Hello, Professor Henkin. Nice to see you.
Yes, and nice to see you too. I wish everyone a happy Green Day, St. Patty's Day. It still doesn't look green to me. I assure you this is green. Okay. See, there's my pocket handkerchief there. That's green too. Okay.
I believe you.
Okay. Okay, I think we will begin. So one more time, I will introduce our Ad Club President, Nicole, to announce what she just announced a minute ago about what's in the chat, how to sign up. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. So I just put in the chat right now that the sign-up sheet for everybody to put in is just your name, your email, and then your expected graduation and your major. Thank you.
Okay. So today we have a wonderful panel of vibrant and exciting people. I'm using that vibrant word a lot. Nisa Smith, Josie Lavallo, Priyanka Ray, Phil Dunn, and Rachel Morris. And we're going to hear from each one. And then afterwards, we will open it up to all your questions. And I hope you will have plenty. I think after you hear them, you will, as to any questions you have about career or PACE or whatever. So let's begin with Nisa. Nisa Smith is the Senior Digital Media Manager at Lord Jones and Happy Dance, where she manages digital advertising. She was a member of the Glidden ad team and graduated from PACE in 2013. After graduation, she started working at MediaStorm, managing digital media buying for Viacom, followed by OMD, where she worked across the Estee Lauder company's portfolio. Her time at OMD led her to pursue in-house advertising in the beauty and wellness space at Clinique, Hourglass Cosmetics, and now Lord Jones and Happy Dance. She relocated from New York to sunny Los Angeles last year, where she loves spending time outdoors and with her cat, Harlow. And how is Harlow, Nisa? How is he doing?
She's great. I just had to lock her out of the office though, because she was causing some trouble. Thank you for that intro. I can just tell you guys a little bit more about myself. As Professor Nankin said, I was at PACE from 2009 to 2013. I graduated with a major in advertising and promotion, marketing with a concentration in advertising and promotion. But before that, I did change my major 4 times. I think Dr. G mentioned just like any advice that we would have for you as you're in school looking for a career. And I think like the biggest thing that I learned is that you're on a journey and you don't have to decide what you're doing right now. You don't even have to decide your major right now. I think I changed it plenty and ended up in a space that I did not think I would be working in when I started school at PACE. So don't stress out about that. While I was at PACE, I did a few different internships, which I think really helped shape my career. The biggest one Dr. Tagoras helped me find was at RAP, an advertising agency in New York. That was kind of my first taste of agency life while I was on ad team. And while I was on ad team, I was on the media side of things. And that really kind of shaped my interest in advertising. And that's really, it's what I became interested in. So those are the jobs that I started applying for once I reached closer to graduation. As Professor Nankin said, my first job was at MediaStorm, where I worked on digital media buying for Viacom. When I got that interview, I actually brought my Glidden plans book to the interview. And I didn't know this when I got the job, but later my supervisor told me that they decided to hire me because I brought my plans book and because I had that experience. So if you're joining the ad team, or I'm sorry, it's called brand marketing team now, definitely speak about that quite a bit when you graduate, because I think it really helped me get that job and ultimately helped shape my career because I ended up in media. So I worked at MediaStorm for a couple years and I was working across the Viacom accounts. So brands like MTV, MTV2 and Logo. And I also touched on a few other brands like NFL Network and Major League Soccer, managing digital advertising for those. After that, I moved over to a different agency, OMD, in New York as well. There, I was working across the Estee Lauder company's portfolio, so that includes a slew of prestige beauty brands, including Clinique, MAC, Estee Lauder, Tom Ford, La Mer, the list goes on and on. My main client there was Clinique, and I worked with them for several years while I was at that agency, which ultimately led me to go in-house at Clinique. So I was at Clinique for about 3 years, and there I managed all digital advertising as well as non-digital advertising. So I worked with our agencies to manage paid social media, search, programmatic advertising, as well as out of home, connected TV. And then my last year and a half there, I also started dabbling in the event space. So I managed a series of cross-country pop-up events for our brand, which was a really exciting experience. Closer to the end of my time at Clinique, I decided I had had enough of New York. Sorry to all of you, I'm sure you'll still love it very much, but after 10 years, I was ready for something different. So I started to look for some new roles in Los Angeles. I'm originally from Northern California, so it just made sense to go back to the West Coast for me. And that's how I found my last job at Hourglass Cosmetics, which I was at for only about 7 months. COVID hit there and I was unfortunately laid off, but back on my feet. So at Hourglass, I was hired to manage their global media strategy. So I did that for a short while. And now I'm at Lord Jones and Happy Dance, which is a global CBD conglomerate. We're owned by the Kronos Group, which is a cannabis company based out of Canada. So I work on our US arm, which has 2 brands at the moment. The larger one is Lord Jones. They've been around for about 5 years now. We were the first CBD brand available in Sephora, and we're expanding every day. And then last October, we launched Happy Dance, which is another CBD brand that we launched in partnership with the actress Kristen Bell. So we've been working very hard, and I manage all of our digital advertising here for that. So we work with our agencies to do paid social, programmatic media, site direct awareness buys, connected TV, and all that good stuff. And I also work on affiliate marketing and content marketing as well. So that's kind of the base of my career. Not sure what else we should talk about right now, but
Well,
Professor
that's
Nick,
fine.
you know.
That's
Okay.
fine, Isa. Thank you very much. That gives a good overview, and I'm sure there'll be people who want to ask questions related to that. The next, our next panelist is Josie Lavallo. Josie graduated from Pace in 2018 with a degree in advertising and integrated marketing and a minor in graphic design. She was the executive creative director of the brand marketing team that was tasked with building a marketing plan for the Ocean Spray client. Today, Josie is an art director at Yonder Consulting. Yonder is a business consultancy headquartered in London that specializes in research, brand strategy and design, and innovation. Josie supports a wide range of projects, including advertising, visual identity, and digital design. Most notably, Josie is the lead art director on the Oriental Bank account, one of the 3 largest banks in Puerto Rico, and is responsible for defining their brand visual identity and all of the creative direction for their advertising communications. I'm sure she's going to tell us a lot about that.
Yes.
So take it away, Josie.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for that introduction. Just want to apologize in advance. I have a bit of a cold if I sneeze. But yeah, so just to tell you a little bit about me and my career. So like Professor Nankin just said, I graduated in 2018. So during my time at Pace, I was an advertising and integrated marketing major with a minor in graphic design, which was actually, I think it was the first year that they had that offer as a minor. So I went into Pace thinking, I know I want to do something in advertising. I've always been a very creative individual, but I didn't see really necessarily what my path is going to be. During my time at Pace, I enjoyed all my art classes and everything, but I did find my niche when I joined ad team because I felt that it was the perfect marriage of creativity and business thinking. And I think that's really set me up for success in my career because being in such a creative field, not all designers have that business acumen that is necessary for success. So I definitely accredit ad team for helping me build up those skills per se. Yeah, so since graduation, I'll backtrack. My internships during my time at Pace were at M&C Saatchi Sport and Entertainment. So my main roles and responsibilities there were supporting on a lot of PR efforts, pitch decks, designing things, brainstorming new creative ideas on how we can reach audiences through earned media. After graduation, I landed a job at a company called BrandCap. So that is a more boutique style branding and advertising agency with a focus on brand strategy and visual identity design. So I was supporting on a wide range of clients. It's like one of my first clients was King, the creators of Candy Crush. So supporting them. What I love so much about working at BrandCap is all the projects were so different and they varied widely. And so we worked with them on an employer brand campaign first. And I also had a lot of opportunities to do pitching for new business. So I felt like I had just left the ad team world and just joined again with some a little bit older, more British colleagues to do basically the same thing, building a pitch and then pitching to my most notable pitch was we went down to DC and we pitched for the Beer Growth Initiative. It was a category-wide campaign for to encourage people to drink more beer across the United States, and it was in front of 20 executives, and it was absolutely terrifying. If any of you knew me in school, I was not big on presenting, so that was a big step for me. I think I've grown a lot in that aspect, but yeah, I think it's been an awesome opportunity. So BrandCap actually eventually was absolved turned into Yonder. So it's not a new job working at Yonder, but it is an evolved role because the offer has changed a bit when we joined forces with our parent company Populous, which is a research-driven company. So Yonder offers a lot of services to their clients, and I think that it's really exciting for me to personally get my hands in a little bit of everything. Like Professor Nankin said, I am the art director on the Oriental Bank account. So Oriental Bank is a bank in Puerto Rico, and I've been working with them since I joined BrandCap. So it's been a very long journey of working with them to, first of all, evolve their brand identity, updating their logo to be more sleek, choosing different color palettes that are more palatable for the 2020 era. When I first started working with them, it was very antiquated design, looked very 80s. They weren't really seen as digital first, and that was one of their main goals. They wanted to be cutting edge, modern, the bank for young people in Puerto Rico. So I've seen a lot of growth, and we're very excited about the things we've been able to work on. I've been able to fly down to Puerto Rico 3 times, worked on a commercial shoot where I was working with the models, directing them. We did a 60-second ad campaign and then cuts of 30-second, 10-second, and 6 seconds, all selling just with a primary effort towards brand communication. But then there was also some shots for more specific product features like debit cards, also People Pay, which is something you're able to send money to your friends via the mobile app. And yeah, it's been a very exciting role for me to be able to really take something and own it and start with the brand visual identity evolution and follow it right through to everyday working with the client communication. One of the main things actually I would like to call out as being one of the most important things I've learned at Pace was how important it is to communicate well and work well with others. And that is very important in client relationships as well. Since I am client facing and I'm talking to somebody every single day who is like my client and they're also English is their second language and I don't speak Spanish, it's very important to be very clear, set expectations, set timelines, and also like still make it fun. We're doing something creative and everybody should be having fun while they're doing it. So not to get too bogged down in the stress of it all, because we all know advertising can get stressful at times, but ultimately trying to find the fun in it.
Fun. Good. That's a good place to stop. Okay.
Yeah, I'll stop there.
Josie, thank you very much. I hope our audience, so to speak, our current students are jotting down their questions that they like to ask us. We will have a Q&A at the end. Our next panelist is Priyanka Ray. She graduated from Pace in 2017 with a bachelor's in global business marketing management and is currently working as a marketing analyst at Embrace Home Loans. She was the recipient of the Lubin School of Business Professional Management Award and the Laura L. Smith Scholarship Award. While at Pace, she was actively involved with the clubs and organizations. She was, as I mentioned earlier, the manager of the IDM Lab. She was also editor-in-chief of the Legend Yearbook, communications chair of NRHH, I think that's the residency honorary, right? And a tutor at the Learning Center. Congratulations, Priyanka, you recently completed your master's in data analytics. So thank you for being here, Priyanka.
Thank you, Professor Nankin, for having me here. Hi, everyone. So as you know, I'm currently a marketing analyst at Embrace. My job is, so Embrace is a mortgage bank. So we do home loans, refinance and purchase loans. And my job is to track the marketing campaigns. Week to week basis, I keep a track of those and then give suggestions based on those campaigns. And in based on those campaigns, and then I am also tracking digital marketing and direct marketing. So any of the Facebook ads or blog reads and all, tracking all of those. Mostly I work on direct mail. So all the direct mail that goes out, I track those and I give advice on which states to put more direct mail. And it's a week on week, and it's a KPI reporting that goes to the C-level. And during my time at Pace, I was very active. So I was the manager of the IDM lab. I was an ad club for a year as well. I worked on the Doritos commercial for ad club. And it was very interesting. And I think one advice that I would give everyone is just be as active as you can at Pace, because there's so many opportunities, so many great professors to work with. And they just, like, I never had an internship outside of Pace. So everything was at Pace, and I was just so active that it helped me get a job. And this job was referred to by Professor Fain and Professor Markovitz. They showed me the job description. I was like, I don't think I can do it. It's way above what I know. And they told me that, you know, we have trained you for this day and we know that you will be able to do it. And I went in for an interview and I got that job because of Professor Fain and Professor Markovitz and all their training. And I had a class with Professor Nankin as well. And that was, I think, one of the hardest and best classes I've ever taken, because I have learned so much. And if you have class with Professor Nankin, you will know that that is the best experience you can have, because you learned so much. In 2019, I went and I met Professor Nankin at Pace, And I just remembered all the assignments that I had to do, and we discussed about these assignments, and it was just very exciting. And also, I was a tutor at Pace. So I was teaching. So my background is in marketing, but I'm an analyst. So I do a lot of my work is just data and coding and making reports based on that. So that helped me through my tutoring. So I was teaching computer science at Pace, and having that coding experience with marketing kind of made me unique from everyone else applying, because everyone was applying for a data so they were applying as an analyst to someone who's very well in coding and in data, but I was someone who had a background in both marketing and in data, and the company wanted someone who was able to fit in the marketing department as someone who understands and knows marketing along with data. And I think that made me unique. And I think that having multiple skills helps you a lot. So if you're just focusing on a specific club or a specific class, you will just have the knowledge of that. Just try to be like diversify yourself, try to get the most out of it. And not having an internship out of Pace did not affect me getting a job because of the opportunities I took in Pace. And I think that is something that if you don't have an internship and you're stressing out, don't, because you can always, the professors are very helpful. Everyone, they will just help you get involved some way. And also one thing that was important for me is to have mentors at Pace. So I had 3 mentors, Professor Fain and Professor Harvey and Professor Tamara Kelly. She was my mentor just overall as what classes I should take, what career path I want to go to, or on a personal level on what I should do. But Professor Fain and Harvey were more of like career, like just career focused, that this is what you're good at, and we see you're good at that, and we want you to focus more on that. And that helped me. And I think that having these leadership opportunities, it's amazing. And just one thing that you should do is try to be a part of all the competitions that go on. And I think that they help so much and you learn so much. And companies do see that. They do see what experience you have out of college. And it's not about what grades you get, it's about what you can do after that and how much you can utilize those and to be more successful. And yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Priyanka. I didn't know I was going to get a call out. That's very nice. Thank you. I like how you said the most difficult and the best. I wonder if it's a difficult course. Let's put it that way. It's not that I'm difficult. Maybe I am a little bit, but.
No, it's the best. It's one of the best classes I've had till date.
She's talking about managerial marketing. Okay. So now we move on to the gentleman in the crowd, and he is a gentleman on our panel, Philip Dunn. Phil was a 2014 PACE graduate and acted as the research department, head of our research department for the brand marketing team's 2014 campaign, and that focused on Mary Kay Cosmetics. With a passion for marketing analytics and using data to drive effective customer experiences, Phil now acts as the marketing manager for Greystar, which is the global leader in rental housing. And he oversees the marketing strategy for Greystar's Northeast portfolio of apartment communities. With that, Phil, looking forward to hearing your story and your advice.
Perfect, thank you. So as you said, as Professor Ninkin said, I graduated in 2014. And some of the most valuable things that I've done at PACE was really be involved with the brand marketing team. At that time, it was a team. I think that the network of people that you became acquainted with and the opportunities and doors that opened for me was really career changing. And not only that, but the actual work that you're doing on is really rewarding and something rare that not every student has the opportunity to work on, seeing a campaign from start to finish in that way and presenting it. So I think that was a really valuable experience. At Pace, I had 3 internships. 2 were from the Pace Career Services, which I highly recommend. They helped me generate a resume from scratch and helped me with my interview skills, and that was really important. And then my 3rd interview was actually through Dr. Shigoris. He connected me with another alumni who was on brand marketing a few years prior to me. And that was my opportunity for not only my first paid internship, but an internship that later turned into my first job. And so again, through those doors and through those connections, it really helped start and catapult my career, which it definitely is life-changing and I'm super grateful for. And then another thing that I wanted to talk about before I progress into my career about advice around just starting a career and how to get out there is looking back, Dr. Shigoris, I don't know if they still pass around this book, but he has a book that talks about your personal brand and developing it. And so it's basically creating a persona about yourself, and then you further research and prepare for interviews by, let's say, having an elevator pitch or pre-recording or pre-writing out and rehearsing different interview question responses. And so that was something that was really helpful. And those responses and that elevator pitch is something that I've emailed to myself and have continued to use whenever I'm interviewing for a job and refining it and expanding it and all that through my career. So that was a really good strategic approach to interviewing that, again, I don't think many students across the country have access to or really even think about. So I highly recommend that. And moving into my career. So I have worked for 3 different companies. The first one was from that 3rd internship. It was a real estate technology company. So they really pulled together data around nearby schools, the school ratings, parks nearby, and they put that data on, let's say, Zillow or what have you, and sell it to those different websites so that they are ranking better for SEO, have better user engagement, et cetera. And I worked there for a year, doing everything inbound marketing. So creating webinars, working on email marketing, using some lead scoring, SEO, you name it, I did it. It was really a 2-person team. And so it was really hands-on and a really great experience. And then a year into that, I actually got reached out to by a recruiter on LinkedIn who set me up with my next job, which was Graystar. And I worked there for, WP Carey. And I worked there for about 4 or 5 years. They're a real estate investment company. So what I was working on was really promoting their investment vehicles and getting people to invest in our real estate portfolio. And something about me that really I'm passionate about is customer data and really using insights and marketing analytics to drive really great customer experiences and drive business results in the end. And so I did that a lot with WP Carey. 2 of the things that I did that I'm most proud of is I worked on taking their email system, which is essentially they blasted emails to everybody. And I saw that there was like 500 unsubscribes a month. And I dug into that data, and from digging into a few different metrics, pulled together not only lead scoring and segmentation, so segmenting, these are unengaged people, these are really engaged people, but creating email campaigns around that. So how do we really re-engage this group and educate them about the need? And how do we keep this group engaged and just show them directly what new products are coming out? And so that is something that really makes me excited and really passionate. And it was great to work on that. And then the second thing that I worked on in that company was their new website. So it was a ground up website rebuild, and that had a lot of user insights and analytics being brought in. So looking at what content people are looking for, what the persona of person is on our website, what our messaging platform is, and how we speak to people, and putting all that together to create a website that serves not only marketing, but all the different departments and drives as much interest to the company as possible. So that was a really difficult, but really exciting and rewarding project. And then a year ago, I was reached out to again by LinkedIn, by a recruiter, and I have my current job from that outreach, which is Greystar. And so Greystar is the leading multifamily real estate rental company. And basically what that means is they have apartment communities across the country, in different countries, and I oversee their portfolio of apartment communities in the Northeast. And so I handle everything for these 14 different properties that I oversee, from their Zillow listings, their websites, their SEO, their Google ads, you name it, multi-channel marketing, everything under the sun. I'm managing and leading that. And so that's really exciting enterprise. And I've only been there for a year. So with COVID, I actually haven't met anyone that I work with. It's been completely virtual, but it's been a great experience. And I'm happy to have that opportunity. And that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Phil. I'm sure you look forward to meeting the people
Yes,
that you're
someday.
working with. We're living in strange times, aren't we, folks? One wonders what the new normal will actually be like. I hope it'll be the best of both digital and real life, so to speak. Well, again, thanks, Phil. That was actually was very educating to me, to be quite honest, because you say real estate and you say, oh, we're in real estate. What is, what are you doing there? And it really was a bit of an education for me to listen to just the applicability to that, to real estate.
It's something dry when you hear about it, real estate, but there's actually a lot of interesting things. If you make it interesting, you got to be curious and really be passionate about what you do.
I think that's probably the most important thing I've heard. You've got to make it what you're doing interesting. Otherwise, why you do it? You spend most of your time at work, and then more time at work during your career than you do with your family. So it better be interesting and exciting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we try to do here at PACE, get you prepared for that. And last and most certainly not least, we have Rachel Morris. Rachel is a graduate of Lubin School of Business, the class of 2018. She majored in business management with a double minor in digital design and marketing. So you see, you can come to marketing from all areas, okay, in your career here at PACE. Throughout undergraduate time, Rachel interned in the fashion, music, and food industries, all with a focus in marketing and public relations. Currently, she works at Horizon Media as a senior brand strategist with experience across a multitude of accounts, translating client goals into strategic media solutions. And I think I'll add, Rachel, that you were the COO of the brand marketing team that year.
Yeah, I was on the Ocean Spray team with Josie. But I guess to kick it off, I'll start off as my undergrad and my experience there. As we have been mentioning, I think some of the most important things for me when I was an undergrad were my internships, along with brand marketing team, but internships started before that. So I interned, I think it was at 7 different places. The majority of them were in the fashion industry. I started off at Zach Posen in the PR department. And then from there, I went to Nylon Magazine back when it used to be a magazine and not just a website. And then from there, I went to Louis Vuitton, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. Towards the end at Calvin Klein, I was doing more of global marketing rather than PR. So that was a really cool experience for me. It was a lot of digital marketing and influencer marketing, which I didn't have a lot of experience in. So these internships really helped me grow. One thing to caveat with internships, I think that you can make them what you want them to be, especially with the fashion industry. A lot of it's just busy work. So going to your supervisors and being like, hey, like, can I work on like this deck that you're working on, or helping out with other things? If you do that, your supervisors tend to give you a lot more responsibility, which is really great. And I found that through a lot of my internships, specifically at Zach Posen. I believe I was there for almost a year. And I went from just doing PR stuff, and it was go get me coffee in the beginning. And then towards the end, I was like pulling looks and talking to magazines and really like diving into PR. While it was fun, I ultimately decided that was not what I wanted to do. So from there, all of those internships, obviously a lot of them overlapped. I also worked at Mom and Pop Music, and that is a music label. It's a small independent music label. That was one of my all-time favorite internships. I love the music industry. So from there, I was really able to like work hands-on with artists and interact with them, really help with tour management and marketing for new albums. A lot of it with the music industry was sending mailers and like demo CDs out to different record stops across the country, which was really cool. You get to interact with a lot of different people. And as Josie mentioned before, I think one of the biggest skills that you can work on while you're in college is communication, because once you get into the real world, it's a lot of communicating back and forth. And if you're not a good communicator, there tends to be a lot of mistakes made and just more confusion there. So definitely work on that when you're an undergrad. Plus, it's just like a good life skill to have in general. But from there, I also worked at Simmer Group, which is a independent little marketing agency. A lot of it is for restaurants. So I was able to work on the branding for Dos Toros, Millie's, Cuban. So a lot of different restaurants in New York. They expanded to do other things around the country, which is really cool. But that internship was very different from everything I had before. And a lot of it led to my current job that I'm in media, because it involved a lot of client relations and managing client expectations, which was really cool. Something that I really enjoyed. It goes back to the communication thing. You get to meet a lot of different people there. But also brand marketing, I'll touch upon that. I was the COO for the Ocean Spray team, which was it was a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie, but I learned so much from that. And as Nisa mentioned, that pitch deck got me my job and actually helped mold my job now and my position now, because they saw that I love doing pitch decks. And obviously when you do brand marketing team, you learn a lot about new business pitches, and that's something that I really enjoyed. So now in my current role, I have managed a bunch of different clients, from Squarespace to HelloFresh, Credit Karma, which was a random one sprinkled in there, the financial stuff. But I also work a lot on new business, which is really exciting. You learn a lot of different skills with business pitches, and you're able to interact with a lot of the higher ups at your company, which is, you can learn so much from them. So right now my role involves a lot of new business pitches and managing a few clients. I'm on Third Love now and Bright Star Care, which is a home care agency. So that's about my background. Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. That was very enlightening. So now we come to the all-important Q&A. If you have a question, just raise your hand, and on the reaction bar on Zoom, and I will call on you. Or you can put, or if you like, you can put your question in the chat area, and Nicole will be managing, our president of the Ag Club will be managing that. And I see our first questioner is Dr. G himself.
No, I'm not the first questioner. Conrad, I was just applauding the students. I think their backgrounds are very impressive. So, I mean, I'll hold off on my question for later. Let the students ask the questions first. Great job, guys. Fantastic. Very proud of you.
Yes, is there a question out there? Let me see. Yes, Alexandra.
Yes,
have a
hi
question?
everyone. Thank you so much for coming to present to us. It's been really informative and great to hear all of your stories. Rachel, as far as the fashion internships that you've had so far, how did you get those? Because I feel like they're very coveted and there's often a lot of applicants. So what did you do to distinguish yourself from other applicants in the process of that?
So I actually got most of my internships through connections. I worked retail at Anthropology at Rock Center for like think it was like 3 years. And one of my friends there, sophomore year, worked for Zach Posen. And she was the one who was like, oh, do you want an internship, by the way? And through that, I got my first internship. And then through all of my other internships, I got them through connections that I had made at my previous internships. So it's kind of just getting the ball rolling with that. But I think if you don't know anyone in the fashion industry right now, reaching out to people on LinkedIn can be a great way to do that, even if it's not like, hey, can you give me an internship, but more of, do you have some time for me to talk with you about like your role and what you do there? Just getting information from them. And then if they do hear of anything, it's good to be like top of mind for them. But yeah, definitely work on making some connections. And like when you do get your first internship, building relationships with the people that you're working with, whether it's an intern or your supervisors.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was very informative. Now I know what to do when I look for my next job in the fashion industry. Okay, in my next life. Okay. And do we have another question? I'm having a little trouble with my Zoom at the moment. I apologize for that. Okay, I'm back. I may never have even left on your end, but I was having a little problem here. Dr. Chiguris, do you have anything that you would like to say?
I actually have a question. This is for Josie. So I'm actually familiar with Yonder Consulting, and what I do know about it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Yonder uses a lot of in-house market research to plan strategies. And from what I've seen from a lot of other ad agencies is that they outsource research from market research firms. So from your experience, what do you think the advantages are that you found conducting your own research in-house to then apply it to strategies?
I think that's an amazing question. And it's something I can really speak on since BrandCap and Populous are the legacy companies of Yonder Consulting. I do know what it feels like to work with an outsourced research agency, and I Yonder is a relatively new company, so we've only been working together as one holistic group since last April. However, I have noticed a significant improvement in that. In the types of projects I personally work on, it's a lot of visual identity work, a lot of graphic design. So it's not as research driven as some of the other projects. That being said, when we go into pitch new business, it's one of the main benefits that the clients call out as being a huge pro in what we are offering, because it just offers more alignment and it allows us to be more niche in what we can be specifically researching, and it creates a sense of ownership and pride for the creatives on the team and for the media people on the team, because it's your colleagues that you're getting the research from. So it's not like a handover deck where like, to be honest, like a lot of creatives won't read that in detail. They'll just get the highlights and, go from there. But when it's your colleague explaining it to you, it resonates a lot more and it allows you to sell in even more projects. So it's very different depending on the client, but in a lot of the new business work, it's one of the main pros because it's something that we wouldn't have been able to offer, and then the outcome is ultimately better in the end.
Right, and I'm sure it instills more confidence as well, like knowing that this is your information that you gathered. And then just to kind of piggyback off of that, you said BrandCap was more of a boutique agency, so more like customized, like a little bit more like smaller in terms of giving more quality over quantity. And how would you describe that? Like, do you like that better as an advantage rather than an agency that does prefer quantity over quality?
Yeah, that's another really great question. I think that's another piece of advice that I would give to you all is learning when you are interviewing and when you are looking for where you're going to work, questioning your interviewers on the company culture is very important. And it's something it never even dawned on me when I was looking for my first job. Ultimately, BrandCap was about 10 people in New York, so I had a way more responsibilities than I had ever anticipated right out of college, which was awesome for me because I'm a self-starter. I'm like, let's go. Like I want to get my hands into everything. So that was really fun for me. However, I didn't necessarily have a direct line manager or a direct mentor to work with in person. So questioning your interviewers on what the company culture is, what types of values that the company holds is really important. Yonder's not massive. It's about 200 people. So BrandCap is about 50 people, 10 in New York and about 50 in London. And Yonder is about 200. So it's not dramatically different from my day to day because the creative team is about the same. However, we're all in kind of a unique situation working from home during this COVID situation. But that's not to say that the culture still isn't important. There's a lot of advantages and disadvantages, and I think it's more about what you personally know you will excel in, and like if you like being kind of thrown into the mix and thrown into the deep end, and then maybe you want something a bit smaller, or if you want opportunity to grow a little bit more slowly and learn from like these major companies and learn how things are done there. And I think that during your internship years to have that contrast is like very important too, because my first internship was much larger and I had much less responsibility, but that just made me appreciate the smaller culture more because I had something to compare it to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any other questioners? Yes, Dr. G, put up your hand.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Nankin. So, I'm listening to you guys, and what something that impresses me is that a lot of you actually have switched so many jobs. So to me, it is like, some of you, I think you said it's job number 4 or job number 3, and you just graduated like, 6 or 7 years ago. So what do you think is the biggest challenge as you transition from one role to another role, as you go from one firm to another firm? Because I'm sure it's probably, quite daunting that, I mean, yes, you got a call through LinkedIn. I think Phil said that or whatever. But then once you go in, I mean, it's like, it's not easy. I mean, Josie just talked about culture. I think that's very important to understand, the corporate culture so you can fit in. So I would like to ask each of you this question, so what challenges do you face, and how do you make that transition a smooth one? That's for the benefit of all the other students who are listening in.
Yeah, let's go around and ask each one. Just going on my screen here, I'll start with Phil because you're at the top of the screen right now.
So I'll start by saying that I think someone said it earlier that you don't need to know what your major is by the time, like, whatever, it changes so often. I know I changed mine 3 times, but what I want to say is even when you start your career, you still don't even know where it's going to take you. I mean, I've changed my job 3 different times. And each time it's been a job that I never imagined I would be in. And I still don't know like where I'm going to be in 10 years, for example. So you might be feeling the pressure to finalize maybe a major or pick your starting job and think that it's, such a major decision, but be calm and it's a journey and you'll get there eventually. But what I will say is, especially starting remotely with my most previous job with COVID, the most important advice I can give is just always being curious and just keep asking questions. At the beginning of my career, felt self-conscious asking questions, thinking I should know certain things, or maybe depending on Google more often, and then being kind of off when I am in meetings about something. And I think that people really appreciate it when you do ask them questions, even if you think it's stupid, because it shows that you're trying and it shows that you're interested. And eventually those questions are going to move from being, what's the definition of this and that, to more strategic and thoughtful. And it just opens up the door for collaboration. So I think that being curious, putting yourself out there, and being okay with not knowing everything is the best way for you to actually learn and to create relationships organically at whatever position you're in.
Thanks, Phil. Next on my screen is Nisa.
Hi. I think so. I've had five different, or I've worked at five different companies since graduating, and I think something that has really helped me at every transition I've taken on is again being curious, like Phil said. Something that really helped me with my current role when I started, because I was virtually onboarded as well, was meeting with as many people as possible one-on-one, meeting with people from different departments to figure out what their role is in the company and how you're meant to work together in the future. I think when you onboard virtually, especially, like, you don't get the chance to chat with somebody at lunchtime or talk at the water cooler. I don't even know if those exist anymore, but it's really important to get to know everyone so you understand the structure of the company and how everyone works together. Even when I was working at OMD, I worked on Clinique as my client, and then I went to Clinique to work internally after that. And you would think that you would know everything just going from agency to client side with the same brand, but there's really always so much to learn. So again, just like being curious, asking questions, meeting with as many people as possible, I think is super valuable. And I also think you'll know when you're ready to switch jobs. Like for me, I've worked at a lot of different roles since I've graduated. But I think everyone was worth it. You get to a point at each job where you want to continue to grow and learn more, and sometimes you can't at your current company. So don't be afraid to look around, take calls from recruiters, even if you're not necessarily ready to move on at that time. I think it's still really valuable to know what's out there, and just explore opportunities when you start thinking about it.
There was a question in the chat.
Yes, it's from Alexandra. She wants to ask how you went from the agency to client and what were your steps?
Sure. So as I mentioned, when I worked at OMD, Clinique was my largest client within the Estee Lauder companies. I worked on their business my whole time at the agency. And closer to the end of my time, I was eventually leading the business for that brand, and I developed a really close relationship with the client. The person who was in the role that I took on was moving to a different role, and her boss, who I was also very close with, just mentioned to me at an event that we were doing if I was interested in coming over, and I said, well, maybe, let's talk about it. And eventually I went in to have basically an interview. They didn't really interview me because they already knew me, but and then I eventually decided to go over. I think it's really a relationship building thing. If you're on the agency side, and you're working with a client that closely every day for that long, you develop a really strong relationship, and you'll know if you want to work with them or not. So I think she approached me about the job, but if there is an opening at your client that you think sounds interesting, like, don't be afraid to reach out. I think if you see an opportunity that you're interested in, call them, email them, ask for some time to speak about it, even if it's not an interview. I think reach out and just ask to connect.
Priyanka, do you want to respond to the initial question? You're the next person on my screen.
This is my first job out of college, so I've been working here since 2017. So I haven't changed my job yet, but I think that there's so much to grow at my current job that I don't feel the need to switch right now. And it's just new projects are always coming in, and it's just getting like a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with my boss, and I was like, I think that I'm ready for some more challenging work. So I keep on asking for like more challenging stuff to do. And then, just getting more like side projects along with my main like KPI reporting weekly. I keep on adding on to like side projects that help me grow. And I feel that there's so much more scope and career planning with the current company that I'm at that I don't feel the need to switch right now.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of what you feel comfortable at. Some people stay in one job for many, many years, and others move as opportunities present themselves. A lot of it also has to do with how much you are involved with clients. Okay, clients that you have a relationship with is very often may want to grab you and bring you over to one side or the other. I know that there are people who work on what we call both sides of the desk, and they move back and forth between the two. Um, uh, for Rachel, do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, sure. So I touched on this a little bit before, but I think in my eyes, having really good communication with your managers and also your network in general is really important, because when you get into a new role, even though it may be like completely different and maybe you're switching industries, if you have like these core values that you've learned and took from like all of your other internships and jobs, those are really important. Like communication's one of them, a hard work ethic, not being afraid to ask questions. Especially in my specific role. When I got hired, my role was very different from what it is now, but having open communications with like my directors and my SVPs and like talking about things I like to do outside of work too, they can really help you to mold your current position into something that you want. Like now I work more on business solutions and pitches, and also like designing decks and like using that graphic design portion of what I learned in college. They know I like to do that as a freelance thing. So now, like, if there's a new business pitch and our graphic designer is busy, they'll tap into me, which is something that I really enjoy doing. So just having that open communication and being very vocal about what you want out of your position, I think is really important.
Okay, and let's give Josie what might be the last word, since we're coming up on our time here.
Yeah, I basically want to echo everything Rachel just said. Having those conversations with your line manager about you as a whole person is really important, and also molding. You mentioned it, Rachel mentioned it when she was having her internships as well, but molding your job into what you want it to be. Like for example, I haven't left jobs per se, but my role has evolved dramatically. When I first joined BrandCap, I was a very junior graphic designer, and I really was just supporting, and I wasn't really contributing ideas to all the way through to BrandCap didn't even have an advertising offer, and now they didn't have any art directors, and they didn't even know that I wanted that role, but I asked for it, and they realized that I was interested in advertising. So now I'm helping grow that offer for Yonder, which is quite small at this point. So somebody told me early on in my career, like, you won't get what you won't ask for. So although it's kind of like you may feel intimidated at first, people can't read your mind, and they might not know that you're interested in something, and asking that it will only show that you're proactive, and it will only show that you're excited and hardworking. And always ask if you see an opportunity, or if you see like where something can be more efficient. Line managers love that too. And then another piece of advice I would give is say you are becoming unhappy in your role. I've practiced this as well. Your line manager, again, can't read your mind, so you have to set up a meeting with them. You have to express those roles, but never come with just complaints. You always have to come with solutions. So when you do set up that meeting, come prepared. Say, I'm upset about this, not upset, but say, I would really love to grow my role into the XYZ, and this is how I plan to do it. Is this something you could support on? Do you think there's room in the company for that? Like I did that when I asked for the art director role. At that time, there was not any advertising at all. It's like, I'm very interested in advertising. Do you think I could grow into this role? Will we be able to get more clients? He said, yes, yes, yes. So that's why I've stayed. At that point, I was thinking about leaving. So it's about morphing your role into what you want it to be, and just being confident and coming with solutions. Confident, but humble. Yeah.
Wow, that you took, yes, you took my thing I was going to say about humility. Humility does not mean being shy. Okay,
Exactly.
You can't hide under it. No one, as someone said, no one can read your mind. Speaking for all shy people everywhere, and I know that some of you will never believe that I was shy, but I really was. I really am, I should say. But if you're excited about what you do, and you're always really excited about learning new things, I'm learning new things every day. I think I'll end this with the story of Oliver Wendell Holmes, the great dissenter of the Supreme Court. President Franklin Roosevelt heard that he was on his deathbed, and he came to visit Oliver Wendell Holmes. And Oliver Wendell Holmes was sitting up in bed, and he was reading his Latin declension, Latin grammar. And Roosevelt said to him, "What are you doing, Mr. Justice?" He said, "It's never too late to learn." So we're always learning. We're always being the best of trying to be the best of ourselves. And I guess maybe that's what gets us into heaven. I don't know. So we've run out of time. And so with those parting words, I just want to thank our panelists so very, very much for being here. And I think we can all hit our reaction button and.
Conrad, I have an announcement to make.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, what, I'm sorry.
No, just, I mean, thank you, Nicole Martins, for all your work on the flyer. A week from today, we have a very special guest. At the same time, 12:10 p.m., that's March 24th. We have the head of global marketing of TikTok. So we have the head of global marketing for TikTok. His name is Nick Tran. Nick was actually selected also as Ad Age's 40 Under 40 a few years ago when he was working for Hulu. And he's going to be a very special guest. So I'm just inviting all the audience members. Nicole, if you'd be kind enough to send the flyer along with the Zoom information to the members of the ad club as well as the AMA, that would be appreciated. So again, just a reminder, and also our panelists are welcome to join if they have the time, but I know you're very busy guys. So again, but fantastic job. I cannot say enough about the nuggets of wisdom you've given today to all the students. Thank you all again.
Yes, thank you all. And don't forget to fill out the sign-up sheet. I wish you a good day and a good life. How's that? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Conrad, for doing this.
Bye.